99% of all of our molecules are water. We only have 1% of molecules that are not water. That off the bat tells you there is something. If you can imagine, we are more water than the ocean. Ocean has 97% molecules water. This is the most fundamental level of our existence. You shouldn't be thirsty ever. At least for me, I always keep the water around, and water is super essential. If you're drinking the right kind of water, that water will end up in your cells. It's not just going to pass through.
This is Vibe Science, a top 100 wellness podcast presented by the Radcast Network, breaking wellness barriers and making health truly personal. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hello, and welcome to Vibe Science here on the Radcast Network. I am Ryan Alford, your host, and we're always trying to take you to your highest vibe. We like to bring you the latest, the greatest in innovative things that are happening in supplements, in wellness. But, we aren't blinded by, one side or the other. There's usually alternative wellness over here and modern wellness over here. We like to bring the best of both worlds. And our guest today is actually, I feel like, is living on both sides of himself, but he's got a lot of scientific backing behind him. Some names you've heard of. Walgreens may have bought something you made. I'm going to keep it really rudimentary. I'll let him get deeper into that. But his name is Mario Brainovic. What's up, Mario?
Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And this is like a super passionate thing for me. So whenever I get the opportunity to speak about this, I'm always super thrilled and excited to kind of be a part of it.
Yes. And hey, H2O, the as you drink.
Yes.
Mario is the CEO and co-founder of Analemma Water, a wellness brand focused on creating coherent, structured water. I need to know what this is. Water coherence, I am definitely curious about. But the biggest thing is, it's the most important thing we do. I have to remind myself every day how much water I need to drink. And I feel better when I do it. But we're going to the depths of the realm here, because I think a lot of people still, Mario, I think go, oh, water's water. Something tells me you'd say otherwise.
Nothing could be further from the truth. People see water as kind of, this is the element prevalent on the planet or whatever. But literally, there are magical worlds hidden in water. I can tell you that. Nobody really understands the depth of it. It's really an extraordinary element. So to jump in immediately,
please.
We kind of learned in school that 70% of our body mass is water. Just that is kind of more than enough kind of to paint.
And I don't think we think about that enough.
Yeah.
Like I think you hear these stats. It's kind of like, if you notice, Mario, like the headlines talk about billions of dollars and we kind of write it off, how much money that actually is. Same thing with like this. It's like one of these stats that 70% water. Wait, now stop and think about what was just said.
But right? I have a bigger one that is going to blow your mind. When you look at it from the molecular side of things, 99% of all of our molecules are water. We only have 1% of molecules that are not water. That off the bat tells you there is something really important we are not kind of thinking about here. We're basically very clever H2O. If you can imagine, we are more water than the ocean. Ocean has 97% molecules water. So, as I mentioned, there is something really, really profound here. This is the most fundamental level of our existence. And we haven't actually talked about it.
Yeah.
So, in our research, we realized that water currently exists in what we call a chaotic state. It's still H2O. But for instance, if you take a glass of water, H2O molecules in it are moving randomly. They're crashing into each other. But because all of this is happening on an atomic level, nobody's really aware of this chaos. There is a way to bring water molecules in harmony. And this is exactly what our process does. Through this unique process, water becomes alive. It becomes empowered, and it can actually do so much for our health and wellness. We did more than several double-blind placebo-controlled studies where we proved this extraordinary biological effect. So when water enters into a state of unison with itself, when water molecules start to, colloquially speaking, join hands, that's when its true power is being unleashed.
You know what? I'm going to start where you started, which is actually when you were talking about the 99.9%, the molecules. That, we're the smartest water on the planet, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
As human beings, 70% water than 99.9 of our molecules. That alone should tell you that not all water is made the same.
100%.
Yeah. We're blessed in the States. I mean, at least where we live, we're in South Carolina, we have generally good drinking water. It tastes okay. It looks okay. But talk to me and our audience, Mario, about, I think we've hit the high strokes, but just because it's clear and just because it might have tasteless, it's not always what it needs to be.
No. Not at all. I mean, we realize that water is an electromagnetic phenomenon, if you can imagine. It changes electromagnetically every single day due to position of the Earth towards the sun.
Wow.
So, and not only that, we realize that water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy, frequency, and vibration, and it's always going to pick up the most dominant frequency of its environment. So usually people think, when they think about water, I'm just going to purify the water, take the toxins out. But even if you take the toxin out with filtration, the frequency of that toxin is still inside the water. And when you drink it, you're actually introducing it into your system. This is where this technology actually does its greatest job. It completely creates a clean state. It brings the water in a liquid crystalline state. That's the optimum state for all biological systems. And as I mentioned, we tested it short-term, mid-term, and long-term on humans, on plants, on animals, and on environment. And the results were really phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd like to get into that. Talk to me about like the difference you see from, you said double blind, so I imagine there's a control, and then, so regular water, what we're used to drinking, versus Analemma Water. What were the findings and specific to health benefits?
So our early research, actually, in the Netherlands, we owned a huge greenhouse where we tested various plants. This is where the research started. We actually picked up a whole lab by a famous German scientist, Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, and he developed this technology that can capture biophotons. So every single living system exudes these tiny particles of light. The more light a biological system exudes, more vitality it has. So our early research was we watered plants with regular water and with Analemma water, this coherent water. And to cut a very long story short, for instance, tomatoes that we grew, they radiated up to 200% more light than tomatoes that were grown with regular water. We always used control, just so that we know. So you can imagine the cellular vitality actually that happens, that was unleashed when you water the plants with this water. So this was kind of our initial research, where we realized, okay, there is something really special here. Let's kind of take a deeper dive. Just so you know, this whole project is 18 years in making, 50 plus scientists over 3 continents working on this.
Wow.
So it's really an undertaking. And
it's a super water.
Yeah, and just so you know, we came out 5 years ago. So most of this time was just doing research, and because we really wanted to be 100%, so that everything that we state, this water actually does. And maybe it's a good time that we kind of jump in the first human study that we did. Since, as I mentioned, this water is an electromagnetic phenomenon, we were thinking, what's the most electromagnetic part of human biology that we can very accurately and very scientifically measure? And it's our brainwaves. So what we did a golden standard study where we took 2 genetically identical twins. We put QEEG equipment on their heads to monitor their brainwaves in real time. Doctor administering the water didn't know which one was which, and twins didn't know which one was which. They just took a couple of sips of water from the glass. And as you would expect, the twin that took a couple of sips of regular water, we saw zero change in brainwave patterns. Everything stayed the same. But now where it gets interesting, almost as soon as the twin that took a couple of sips of Analemma water, there was an almost instant better connection between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, an almost instant harmonizing effect on the brainwaves. This was first very powerful and irrefutable scientific evidence that something biologically remarkable actually happens here. Not only that, there is this thing that happens which is called the delta coherence, that usually when people meditate or when they use psilocybin, they get these kind of effects where your entire brain gets connected with itself, so to speak. We actually repeated the experiment 3 weeks later, and we gave Analemma Water to the other twin. And lo and behold, we saw exactly the same phenomenon, while now the first twin experienced nothing. So this was our first human study, double-blind, that we did. Inspired by the biophoton emission that we talked about and this vitality, we wanted to see how can we measure that on humans, because it's very hard to measure biophoton emissions on humans, because humans are much bigger than a tomato. So it's kind of hard, and it's super delicate technology. So we decided that we were going to measure ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the primary energy currency of the cell. It's directly responsible for powering of the majority of the processes inside of our body, including muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, biochemical reactions. Basically, every heartbeat, every breath, every cognitive function depends on ATP. So we wanted to see what actually happens with ATP levels when people drink this water. So we took a snapshot of ATP levels in humans. Then they drank 1.5 liters of Analemma water per day for 2 months without changing anything else in the world. They didn't change their diets, their exercise regime. They didn't use any supplements. So everything basically was at zero. And then after 2 months, we took another snapshot to see what actually happened. And what we saw was 20% rise in overall mitochondrial energy of the body over the placebo. When you calculate the placebo in, that's 1/3. And we're not talking about here Red Bull energy. We're talking about actual mitochondrial energy of the body. This has several implications, if you can imagine. I mean, all scientists now agree that one of the key causes of cellular aging is the decline in mitochondrial function. And we proved that mitochondrial function improves more than significantly, and just by drinking the water. And a lot of people actually don't. People usually kind of connect ATP to muscle performance and endurance. And of course, that's like, this is like the direct correlation, and no questions there. But what most people don't realize, that the biggest spender, by far the biggest spender of ATP, is actually our brain. For a neuron to send an impulse to a neighboring cell, it needs to hydrolyze 1 billion ATP molecules, and there are billions of neurons. So 25% of all of our energy goes just to feed the brain. And of course, people with high ATP levels have much better cognitive performance, and of course, athletic performance, and basically everything else in their bodies work much better, because body has more cellular energy.
Yes. And where does your passion for all this come from, Mario?
I was always very passionate about health and wellness. I always knew that our bodies were created perfectly. I always knew that our bodies have this innate system to repair itself. I was always very passionate about finding ways to assist that natural process in powerful ways. I actually opened a natural pharmaceutical company now more than several years ago, and I ran it for years, and I helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and it was a super gratifying thing when you can bring a person back to health, back to being the full you, I don't think that there is anything more gratifying than that. Anyhow, I did that for many years. After a while, I decided it was time to move on. I sold the entire business to Walgreens. And then I decided, okay, I want to immerse myself in something that helps humans, helps plants, helps animals, and helps environment as a whole. It was a huge tall order, but as universe would have it, I got connected to Dr. Eric Larker, who is the inventor of this technology. And it checked all the boxes, and the rest is history.
I would say instead of immersed, I would say submerged.
Yeah, submerged. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so talk to me of what should be a good, let's give our audience something actionable here. What's a good water protocol that people should, is the 8 glasses a day outdated? Like, obviously we need to improve the quality, and that's what your water does. So I mean, obviously we've got task 1 at the top of the chain here, but what should that look like for the average person, or even, someone that's actually, biohacking or trying to get ahead of the game?
Well, to be honest, I really think that we should be very intuitive about it, because not all bodies are created the same. So you should always listen to your body speaking. At times, you might need much more water. I'm not of a person that says, oh, everybody should drink 3 liters or 4 liters of water or whatever. You just have to drink the proper high quality water and follow your body. Your body will tell you what it needs. So, and I think that's the same with basically everything. We have this extraordinary system that we are living in, and it's perfect. We just need to learn how to listen it and follow its signals.
Yeah. What like signals being, I feel, if you, I guess I always heard if you're thirsty or you feel thirsty, you've waited too long.
I agree.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be thirsty ever. At least for me, I always keep the water around, and water is super essential. As I mentioned, it's the most fundamental level of our existence. If you're drinking the right kind of water, that water will end up in your cells. It's not just going to pass through. This is usually when you're drinking all kinds of water that just pass through your body, because your body doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But if you're drinking the right kind of water, then it actually enters into your system and you can feel it. And then you don't even need to drink ludicrous kind of amounts of it, because when it hits the spot, your body goes into this brilliant state where it's in harmony with itself.
Man, the passion for water is exuding, Mario. I feel it. Talk to me and the audience about where they can learn more about everything that you guys are doing, purchase the water, and all of those types of things.
Well, anybody can go to coherent-water.com. This is the place, and I encourage everybody to jump on our newsletter, because we're constantly doing new science. So if you just want to even follow our work, we're really doing a lot. And not only that, we haven't talked about many studies that we did, studies on plants, environmental studies. So if you want to follow our work, this is the place. Just jump on our newsletter, and you're just going to get info in your inbox. If you want to purchase the technology, you can go there. We're really, really kind of adamant to keeping it very affordable. And, this entry level, we have a wand. This is like the entry level product. And if you treat it like a jewel, and if you don't break it, it's very delicate, so you have to take care of it. But if you can buy it once, and it will last you a lifetime.
Wow.
So, but of course, you have to treat it like a jewel and take care of it. We created a different, we call it an inlay, the thing that you put into the pitcher, and it can make the larger body of water, not body water, but a larger quantity of water. And Coherent, we created a garden system that you can grow the best fruits and veggies you can imagine with it, with extraordinary resilience, extraordinary nutrient density, Really phenomenal stuff. And we created water bottles as well. So you can buy it if you go to the gym, if you go to the office, you can have coherent water with you throughout the day. And we created a whole house system. So this is the application. These are the applications that we created so people can actually be consistent with it. Because when you're consistent with it, then you really see the results in your life.
I love this because, we talk about a lot of complex things on here and additive things, by the nature of supplementation. And this is one of those things that's simple. We need water. We know we drink water every day. Why not attempt to put the best water in your body to have the best because I don't know of anyone we've had on talking about anything that has the outcomes that this does. Everything else is very incremental. There's nothing that I heard today that was incremental. It is significant.
This is, as I mentioned, I believe that water is the most fundamental level of our existence. As I mentioned, 99% of all of our molecules are water. And if you change that, if you replenish that, your entire biology will follow. That's why it's so kind of widespread. We haven't even mentioned our double-blind placebo-controlled microbiome study. I don't know if we don't have enough time, but this is, again, a microbiome. It has profound effects on basically any area of your health.
Go to the site, learn more about this. It's definitely got my brain working. I think that's maybe that's some of the depth of your name, Brainovic. He is the water brainiac, is what I'd call him. He knows it. We'll have all the links to everything here. Mario, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I always appreciate the opportunity to share this because, when people understand it, when people purchase the technology, when they start using it, that's where I kind of get the biggest satisfaction, when people get the results. This is something that has always been kind of a driving force in my life. So thank you so much.
I think we're going to get this at office and home. Sounds like an easy way to improve health. So really appreciate it. And hey, guys, you know where to find us, vibescience.com. You'll find all the links, the highlight clips from today's episode, and of course, where you can get that H2O that Mario talks about. This is an easy change. It's a simple thing, but it has dramatic impact. We'll see you next time on Vibe Science.
The content discussed on this show is provided for reference and educational purposes. The content is not an attempt to practice medicine or provide specific medical advice. Always consult your personal physician for medical advice and proper diagnosis.
Thanks for listening. This is Vibe Science. To learn more or watch full episodes, visit vibesciencepodcast.com. Here's to discovering your highest vibe.